Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm AmandaMuse, and today we're going to be talking about why I decided to go back to school at 40 years old. I'm going back to university. I am in university. Let's use the right verb tense, right? Why I decided to do that, how I'm doing it, things that I'm loving while I'm there, accessories that I really enjoy, and answering your questions. So let's get into it. First things first, I'm attending University of Waterloo. I'm in a program called SDS, Social Development Studies, and my plan is to get that degree, finish up, so basically like your undergrad, then get a master's of social work. That's my plan. I actually don't know how long this is going to take me. That's probably the first question, but I'm not in a rush, which is great. I have a job, I have an income, there isn't that same pressure. This is more, I'd say it's like passion project, but also like my 5-year game plan, right? Like, where do I want to see my life in the next 5 to 10 years? This is part of it. I suppose a good place to start is to share what my school experience was when I was 20. So basically, I grew up in Quebec. I went to Cégep, which is 2 years after high school. It's basically a college degree. A DEC is what we call it. And I got mine in natural sciences. I was definitely more on that side of things. Physics, chemistry, algebra, all that stuff, calculus. Thought I was going to go into forensic science in university. I was looking at forensic science. I was looking at the food sciences at McGill. I got into those programs. I also went screw it and moved to Toronto and became a flight attendant, because the shit you do when you're 18 and 19. She's got some thoughts on this. Are you good? Sometimes we make decisions when we're young that are not totally well thought out. The reality is I did not have parents who could financially support me through school, so I was all on my own for the financial bill, and I had $0, probably less than $0. And the idea of taking on all of that debt was just, it wasn't an option, truly. And so I made the decision to not finish university. I took a couple courses. I was at U of T in Mississauga, and I was taking a forensic science program. And it was kind of fun. I met a cool friend there. I still know her today. But I feel that was my one regret. I literally regret like 0 things in my life. But that one was always like, I wish I'd finished school, man. I wish I had finished school in the time that would have allotted for that experience, because going to university as a young person is extremely different as now a mature student, a woman who's 40. It's just a very different vibe, right? It has pros and cons to each. I feel like, I was actually talking to my son about this today. I'm like, going to university now, I don't worry about finances. I enjoy it. I love learning. I can see the end goal a lot more clear. When I was younger, I was strapped for cash, hella stressed, just, I don't want to say boy crazy, but like searching for love, like it was just such a different vibe. And I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and I had no life experience. So different times, different eras, different seasons, but we're here now. So basically in June, I was sipping a glass of white wine on a beautiful, early spring evening. And I decided to book a call with one of the academic advisors at U of Waterloo. And I was like, here's the vibe. I'm this age. I'm thinking about going back to school to get my undergrad. I don't really know what I want to do. I'm leaning towards this one genre, this one area. And he was like, yeah, go for it. Part-time studies. I thought, okay, one class at a time. What could it hurt? So I applied, and then I got in, and then my life exploded based on my own choices. And oh my God, sometimes I'm like, what? And then I started school in September with my children, because they started school, and I also took my first day of school photo, which I'm going to insert right here, because why the hell not? I looked terrified, and I was so scared. And there was really nothing for me to be afraid about. Nobody gives a shit that I'm there, truly. In fact, they might even be curious about things I have to say, because I'm 20 years down the line from them, right? But I've been enjoying myself. The professors, I've had 2 classes so far. I'm in one right now, and I wrapped one from the fall semester, and they were great. They were, in fact, my prof last semester approached me on the last day of class and thanked me for my contributions, and was like really supportive and encouraging, because I think as an adult, you appreciate what it takes to adjust your life to be able to go back to school. And it's a lot. I'm a mom, I'm a content creator, I'm going through a huge life change, and it's been very stressful, and yet somehow I'm still averaging 80%, which is kind of amazing. I wrapped my first class with like an 86 or something, and then this class I'm sitting at probably like about at the same grade, and I'm really proud of myself, honestly. So with that said, why would I go back to school? It's sort of what I was saying at the top. It's just been one of these things that like I wish I had finished. Do I think it's going to change my life dramatically? It may, if I choose to pursue a profession in social work and like go a different path with my life. It could. It might not. It might just be a really expensive piece of paper that I'm going to be so fucking proud of myself for having gone after because it's my own personal goal. I've just always wanted to do it, and I really enjoy learning, and I forgot how much I enjoyed learning, and I'm a smart cookie. And I can say that with confidence because I just know it to be true. I have always been, like, even when I was in school as a young person, I won academic awards. I was on the honor roll. I was asked to go into the advanced programming. Like, I like it. Is it easy? No, I have to put effort in for sure, but I just enjoy it. And so that's something that I think is so important, that if you have a little dream, a little light you're trying to like nurture, like go after it. Why not? If you can. And right now I'm doing one course at a time. So I'm just about to be done school in about a week. And then I'll take a little break, and then I have a summer course. So it's going to be an online course. I have been doing mostly in-person courses, which I really love. I love actually being in school. I love how that you're in that bubble. There's the engagement. I love to participate in class. So that's been going on. And then I'll take my first online course. So I'll let you know how that goes, because I haven't done an online course in a while, and those can be kind of tricky. And my kids will be home because it's summer, So anyway, okay, let's get to some questions. The first accessory has been my MacBook Air. I use this religiously in class, especially this class. I take a ton of notes, and so I love this thing. I also have my iPad with the Apple Pencil, and what I love about this keyboard, which, sorry if it's screen's a little messy, but it's a keyboard. So this particular class, I've been using my laptop. I just found I'm just kind of in that routine. Also, my personal life has been really stressful, and so I found it hard to like jump between accessories at the moment. But I'm looking forward to this summer switching over my online course to my iPad, because it kind of acts a little bit like a laptop, and it's a lot smaller to carry around, right? This I can just slip into a purse, depending what we're up to this summer. If we're going to be up at a cottage, on a road trip, I can always have my, you can have your laptop with you, of course, but an iPad, it's so easy to bring around. This particular course, I have not been taking handwritten notes because there is just so much information. The course itself is heavy on memorization, on facts, that kind of thing. Last semester, I would have benefited from hand notes, like handwritten notes, using my Apple Pencil. I only integrated the iPad into my life towards the end of my semester last year, so I didn't get a chance to use it. But I noticed one of the girls in my class, she uses her iPad all the time, her Apple Pencil. It's just such a wonderful, thing. And that's probably one of the biggest changes I've noticed, is that students are really coming away from the old school pen and paper. I personally at first was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing to take notes. I had the pen and paper, but then everything kind of got jumbled, and I didn't know where half my notes were, and I was a little overwhelmed. So I'm kind of glad that my first course was rather simple in that way. This course, so I take all of my notes. I've got my book, the textbook for the class, and then what I also did is I take my notes and I print them out, and they're very detailed notes, okay? There's a lot of information in this class, and I print them out, and I use features like highlighting in Google Docs and stuff, and I just go through it that way. This particular course does these quizzes, so I have everything in here, and I just like that it's all in the one binder, and I can reference that when I have exams. We have 3 exams for this particular course. So I find with each class, I'm learning to adjust and adapt depending on what the style of the course is, and then make decisions according to that. But I'm definitely leaning more towards, tech-based products instead of handwritten notes. It's just who has the time for that? My fingers type way faster than my hand can write, is the truth of it. Okay, question time. A question from someone was, how are you managing school finances in terms of like grants, loans, etc., if you're comfortable? The true story is I'm just paying for each course outright. There are probably certain things I could apply for. This is definitely a point of privilege that I can say this, but it's like I literally just haven't had the time to look into that. There's just too much going on in the midst of my separation that I just can't right now. You know what I mean? So I just pay for the course, but I'm only doing one course at a time. So in that sense, it's not a huge burden. I think it's about like 1,000 and change for each course. So not the worst. And then of course a little additional fees for a textbook and whatever materials you might need. But that's how I'm doing it right now. Another, viewer in my audience is also a mature student. She's wondering how I stay on top of life and business expectations. And the truth is, I've worked for myself for a really long time, and I have done this for a very long time. So I know how to do this. I know how to organize myself for my business expectations. I also work with a management team. So as a content creator, I have an agency that helps me with my collaborations. And so that kind of is like off my plate, and they help me with that. Life expectations. I mean, I have my kids 50% of the time now. So there are days where I can do things and not worry about them. They're also a little bit older. So my kids are 11 and 13. They had spring break, but it didn't align with my spring break. And I had to go to class and they stayed here and it was no problem. Like they weren't even awake until I got back, right? They also do a lot of their own thing. So I'm not as in high demand as I used to be as a mom. And so I just feel like there's some free time that I'm filling with this instead of filling with other things. I have found that my workout routine has slipped a little, like I'm just not doing as much. I do have moments of depression, like true story, and just low motivation where I'm like horizontal on the sofa and I just don't know how I'm going to do it. And yet I rally. And I find that I'm also lowering my expectations. Like somebody messaged me and said, C's get degrees. And that's the truth. So I seem to have been doing well, I think because I truly am actively listening and participating in class. So when it comes to test time, I can deduce a lot of the answers, but I'm also only taking one class at a time. I was signed up for 2 for this semester, and it was such a gong show in my personal life when I was starting that I had to drop one class. So that's the truth. A question was, do I partake in any of the social activities at school? I don't. And that would be the perk of going to school in the time frame of being a young adult, because I have no interest in hanging out with like 19-year-olds. Are you kidding me? Like they're very sweet, but our lives are a little different. So no, I don't do any of that stuff. I'll sit and chit chat for a few minutes after class, but like that's about it. I have my own social life and my own friends I want to hang out with. How do my children feel about me going back to school? At first they were teasing me, but I know that they're proud of me. They're proud of the decisions and the choices that I've made so far for me. They love their mother and they know that I'm on a different path, and yet it's the right path for me. And they know it and they feel it. And I know they're super proud. And I'm excited to see where this degree will take me and how it may impact our lives for the positive. Have you thought about what area of social work you want to get into after the study? In terms of social work, there's a lot you can do with this degree. I do not want to be a boots on the ground social worker. Like that's not for me. True story, they just are not paid appropriately and they are not given the due respect, for the hard work that they're doing. That's not for me. I look at it more from the private side of things. Is there something I can do in terms of let's say mental health talk therapy, being a registered social worker? Is there something I can do in policy? Like there's different avenues for me. So that's kind of where I'm looking that way. What is the homework situation like? Is it manageable while working full-time as well? Again, because I have a flexible job and I do work for myself and I make my own hours, I can adjust my life accordingly. I did find the first class really tricky, right? Because I was like trying to find a groove and I'm like, oh yeah, I have to study, and oh yeah, I have to do this. And now I've got a bit of a routine and I, again, focus really hard while I'm in class. I work at it bit by bit. So this particular course, there are these tests and the tests are like 3 big questions and then a case study, or 2 questions and a case study. And so she provides all the Q&A beforehand, like all the study material, and I just work through it. Like, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. And I just slowly go through it and try not to overwhelm myself. but it's a very different outlook when you're an adult. I don't feel necessarily stress about school. True story, school is like the least stressful thing I have on my plate, and I really enjoy it. So I hope that in a couple of years I finish this degree and I can be like, go Amanda, and I get that little photo and that little piece of paper and I'm like, look, I fucking did it. That's my dream. But I also know that sometimes life has other plans. And so I'm just trying to stay the course, and it could take me a couple of years, but I'm doing it. What courses are you taking? So I'm in SDS, and so there's a whole like plethora of courses that I'm taking. So I'm currently taking, what am I taking? Political ideologies. Last semester I took Intro to Social Work. This political ideologies course, when I first sat down, I was like, what have I done? Like, I was overwhelmed. I was sort of sitting towards the back of the class. The information was coming at me so fast. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And I expressed this fear, this like feeling I was having online. And I will say that whomever said this to me, thank you, because you literally changed my brain. But they said, you're not supposed to know what's going on in this class. If you did, maybe you'd be teaching the class. But that's what the point of the class is for, to learn. And I was like, duh. I mean, that sounds so obvious, but as a firstborn daughter who needs to do everything perfectly, I was a little overwhelmed, you know? And so I got to that second class and I sat in the second row, and I still sit in the second row, and I find it really helpful. So just changing your outlook a little bit can really significantly change how you feel about everything. Interesting about my family history is my grandpa was actually a university professor at Université de Québec à Montréal, UQAM, and he like won awards for years, like 20 years, for being one of the best professors. And I just find that there's just been like a little dream in my heart that I would go and get my university degree, not in honor of him, but to be like, I see you, sir, caps off to you, you know? And like, he was a very big motivation in that way, such an intellectual person, but you wouldn't know it. I mean, yeah, you would know it, but I mean, when he was at home and giggling and like making us breakfast or whatever he was doing, like, it wasn't like he talked about work, you know? And I just think, I don't know, it's just something I've always wanted to do. My dad and I have always talked about it, and I'm just really proud of myself for putting my money where my mouth is, you know, and just doing the damn thing, walking the talk. Is that the right thing? Yeah. Am I planning on leaving social media after I graduate? No. So what I find so interesting is that the degree that I'm taking, which I didn't know I was going to take this degree, it was just kind of the degree that was there when I was applying for part-time studies. And the irony is it's exactly what I need to be doing. There's like a little path that takes you into like the private sector with mental health. And I find that I naturally am drawn to talking about mental health topics. It is reflected on my YouTube channel, and I just love that I can now have this degree to like back up what I'm talking about. And that's my plan. I have no plans to go anywhere. I'm gonna get old with you guys, okay? However this little social media world shifts and ups and downs, I wanna be part of it. I have been in it for so long, and I'm excited to see what this next chapter looks like. But yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere. So stick with me. Someone was asking how my memory is, and honestly, it's great. I do have a friend that I've just met through school. She experienced a concussion or two, and I know that she sometimes expresses some difficulty remembering a lot of stuff, but I mean, I think that's valid when you've had a concussion. Her children are a little younger, and so that's also tricky depending on what your family situation is. I'm also just not stressed about school. I have other stresses like dumpster fire over here, beautiful, bright, lovely school over here. And they're just like, I can compartmentalize really well. My therapist did tell me that that's a perk of childhood trauma, that you can just deal with a lot and compartmentalize. So go figure. I know a lot of the questions are like, how long will this degree take me? I should really try to figure this out, but I'm just being very patient with myself, because sometimes when I set a deadline, I can be a little intense about it. And I recognize through this process, these last few months in my personal life, that like, I can have a deadline all that I want, and there are other variables that can impact this and change the course of things. And I'm just like taking the pressure off. So my goal right now is just to do one course at a time per semester. Maybe next fall, things will have calmed down significantly and maybe I can take two. But I'm just taking it a day at a time, a semester at a time, and just seeing kind of how this goes. The great thing is I did get a lot of credits from my college days. And so I'd say I have, if not half, like just over half of the degree done. So I don't know. We'll see how long it takes me. A question was about the application process, and true story, it was so much easier than I thought. Like when I went to university, there was no YouTube to help you figure this out. There was no tutorials. Click this link and it'll teach you how to pay your tuition. Like none of that existed. So it is so freaking easy. True story. Everything's online. Everything is accessible. Oh my God, it's so easy. I think the biggest thing for me when I think about, aside from the financials, aside from like not really knowing what I wanted my life to be like when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I think one of the biggest problems was I just didn't know how to ask for help. I'm still not the best at that. However, what I'm doing very differently this time is I am leaning on the academic advisors. And so the one woman I was working with has actually left the position, which sucks because I really, really liked her. But there's a new one, and I'm going to make a point to go see them in the next 2 weeks and make sure I'm all on, you know, I've got everything organized for the summer session, but I'm just using them like hardcore. Like I sit with them when it comes time to pick a course and I help them help me pick a course. I'm like, tell me what course to take. I don't know. I don't care. I just want a course that will contribute to my degree. I don't want to be doing anything that's redundant. I only want to do what's necessary. And if we can make it an easy course, even better. So that's what I do. I'm trying to use as many resources as possible. And like, why? Like work smarter, not harder, you know? And I guess the big dream is that I just think I've often said, and I could probably find videos where I've said this more than once, that I struggle with dreams. I struggle with saying this is what Amanda wants. This is what Amanda needs and should be doing. I, for many years, put a lot of other people ahead of me in terms of their needs and their dreams. And I still managed to pursue many things for me. I found little loopholes to make things work. But it is really exciting to just be like, I want this. And if the answer is why, because. Is it going to make me $1 million? Probably fucking not. But guess what? There is more to life than just raking in the money, because what are you can't take any of that shit with you, right? I have a little dream, but I don't want to say it, because the more people you tell your shit to, there's this thing, there is evidence. So here's the thing, a little takeaway. If you have a little dream and you have a goal and you're working on it and you tell people and they're like, yeah, go team, go Amanda, do your thing. You get a little dopamine hit from that. And that dopamine hit mimics the dopamine hit you'd get from actually working towards the dream. So work towards the dream, get the real dopamine, and let people be proud of you later. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not saying shit about my dream, okay? Because I'm just working on it and I'm trying to cultivate it, and it's a little flame, and I'm just protecting this little flame, this little dream, and I'll let you know if it happens, okay? So for now, I'm just really excited. I think it's possible. I know it's possible to go back to school as a mature student, continuing education. I have no shame being in class. I'll tell you this. 3 things were awesome that happened. The first was last semester. I can't remember, I said something in class like, I'm 40, and I was saying like, I raised my hand and I was giving something out loud and I said, I'm 40. And a couple girls in the back were like, oh my God, she's 40. She does not look 40. Yes, love that for all of us, okay? Number 2, I walked into class the other day and there's this little cutie. I just love her. She was in my class last semester, and I walked in and I don't know, I was just having a bit of a rough morning, and she goes, my queen, Amanda, how are you? And I have a 13-year-old and these kids are like 19, right? There's not that many years between my kids and them. And my daughter will call me that, my queen, when she's in a good mood. And I laughed and I loved it. And it was so sweet and just made me feel like I'm part of this group of people, you know, all pursuing this further education. So that made me really happy. And then the last thing was there was this sweet young man. I don't want to say boy because like, I mean, but he kind of is. But anyways, so I went up to get my quiz or whatever from the front of the classroom. And as I was coming back, he was walking towards me. He says, I love your sweater. The color is just so beautiful. And I was like, oh, thank you. So, you know, I don't feel like a pariah, and that's lovely. I'm in the group. I'm doing the damn thing. I'm so proud of myself. There are so many decisions that I made from the spring until now that has really put me first, and it is K to do that. And I just feel like this chapter of my life is just like happiness and joy and love. And I hope you feel it. I hope you feel it coming at you through the screen, because I do feel, as much as there is a lot of hurt and change and adjustment, baby, there's more good than bad, and I'm excited. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions. I'm sure that you'll have more, and I know that I'll continue to share about this journey. But thanks for being here. I'll catch you in my next video. Bye, guys.